Hello everyone, my name is Michael, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to charge cryptocurrency on your platform using the Coinbase API in Node.js. Okay, so before we integrate the Coinbase API to our Node.js application, let me show you an example of how I integrated Coinbase to my platform for my web development agency. So if we go on the main page, as you will see, users are able to add balance to their account however much they want. They can create projects for us to take over, and yeah, they can pay those projects with their balance. So if they try to add funds right here, and they have the option to pay with cryptocurrency using Coinbase. And so they can click the currency they want to use, Euro, USD, then the amount, and they can click confirm and pay, click OK, and what we will do is create a checkout form with Coinbase. We will redirect them to the Coinbase checkout form, and here they can select Bitcoin, Ethereum, or pay with Coinbase, and there is an option to add more cryptocurrencies, but I have limited it to Bitcoin or Ethereum. But now that I think about it, I should allow all cryptocurrency options, because either way, Coinbase allows you to immediately make that Bitcoin that the user pays you to Euro or USD or whatever you accept. So yeah, so once the user pays with Bitcoin and Coinbase verifies that payment, they send a request to our backend with webhooks basically, and then notify our backend that the user paid. And then we make the database changes and we update the user balance to the amount they paid. So yeah, let's see how we can do that with Node.js step by step. Okay, so the first step is to create a Coinbase commerce account. Now this is separate to your normal Coinbase account. So if you have a normal Coinbase account, we cannot use that. It will have to be a separate commerce account. By the way, in the description, I'll also have an affiliate link for a normal Coinbase account. When you sign up with my link and you spend $100 worth of Bitcoin, basically buy or sell Bitcoin, $100 worth of it, or more, we will both get $10. So yeah, if you want to support me and also get $10, you can use my affiliate link. Okay, so after you sign up successfully and you verify your account, you can follow along with me. So what you have to do first is click right here on your account, go to settings, and first of all, make sure you set up everything about your business here, like the currency that you want to use, the branding, how you want to make it withdrawals, and as you see, you will need a normal account to make withdrawals. So again, use my affiliate link to create your normal account. Now here you can select what cryptocurrencies you want to accept. I only accept currently Bitcoin and Ethereum, but you can just turn on whatever cryptocurrency you want to use. You can just use all of them, it doesn't really matter. And yeah, so last step is to go on security and create a new API key. I have done that already, so you can just copy it and we will use it in a bit. Next, you have to whitelist your domain. Now, since we will be using localhost, I'll show you a way to make your localhost with a production link using ngrok. I'll show you in a bit how that works. And basically you will use your ngrok link to make your localhost production and whitelist it so you can test it. And yeah, I think that's it. So after you have created your API key, let's go ahead and set up our project. Okay, so let's create a new folder. Let's name it Coinbase Nodejs. Let's open terminal in this location. Now, if you just open terminal, you can do cd space, and then you can drag and drop the folder here, and it will give you the path to that folder, and just click enter, and that's it. Now the same goes for Windows, so yeah. And then let's do code space dot And that's only if you use Visual Studio Code. What that will do is open that folder in Visual Studio Code. Now, if you use another code editor, and then just open that folder in your code editor and follow along. So we will only work in Node.js because for frontend, all you have to do normally is just create an input for the amount, a submit button, and maybe also send the currency if you want to have multiple currencies, and send that information to the API we will create now. But instead of creating frontend, I'll just use Postman to send that data. Okay, so let's create an index.js. Let's also create a .env for our environment variables for our API key basically. And let's say Coinbase _API _key equals to, and then we can pass our API key here. And lastly, let's open terminal in our API location, and let's actually, first of all, let's create our package.json. So let's do npm init-y, and then let's download the dependencies for our API. So it will be express. Then we also need .env, and then we will use our API. So the API we'll be using is coinbase-commerce-node. And this is the official API. This is the official Node.js library for the Coinbase Commerce API. So we will use that. And it is still supported. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. So you can click the link down in the description to follow along. So let's me split the windows like so. And yeah, let's continue. So first of all, let's create a simple API. So we will call express. We will create an app, and let's say app.listen to 3000. To port 3000. Let's do that. And then let's also copy this and install it with express and .env. And say does a save. I'm not sure if this is required anymore, but does a save means to basically save it in our package.json in case we deploy this app. And yeah, let's copy the example. If we scroll right here for the usage, here it shows us how we can require the package, create a client, and initiate that client with our API key. So let's copy this, paste it here, and then replace the API key here with our process.env.coinbase API key, which we have set in our environment variables. Now we also need to import our environment variables, so let's do require.env.config. By the way, I'm using Node version 16. Okay, so after we do that, let's create the checkout API endpoint. So let's do app.post, and let's say checkout. And from our checkout, we will get from the body the amount and also the currency. Now, if you are using a static currency, you can also, you'll just specify it statically. Okay, next, what we will do, first of all, let's make this asynchronous. And let's say let charge equals to nothing for starters. And we can do try. Actually, we don't have to do that. Let's do it. Okay, so we can try to create a charge. In case it fails, we want to catch that error. So let's say const charge equals to, and then we can say, actually, we also have to get resources from our API and say await resources.charge.create. So we are basically creating a charge, and you can also see that right here, I think. Actually, I want to find this example. there we go, right here. So we are creating a charge, coinbase.resources.charge. And if we go right here, as you'll see, it says charge.create. So we are doing charge.create, and then we can pass the following information right here. We can pass the name. We can say test charge. We can pass the description. And then we pass the local price. So here we pass the amount we get from our body, and then the currency. And if you want to use a static currency, you can just replace that and say, for example, USD. Let's close that. And then we can say pricing type, fixed price. We can also pass metadata. So for example, if you have an order or you have a user, you want to update the balance. For example, in my platform, I pass here the user ID from my database, because when the payment is successful and we use webhooks, and I'll explain a bit what webhooks are, but basically Coinbase sends us an API request to a separate endpoint, not this one, and it sends that the payment is successfully created, but we don't really know which user that payment refers to, for example. So we want to pass from the start the user ID, and then later on the webhooks, we can get that user ID, and we know, okay, so we want to go on the database and update the balance for that user ID. So yeah, now that can be an order ID, for example, if you are selling a product, or whatever you like. And then lastly, actually that's all we have to do. So let's close that, and let's replace that for now with a dynamic currency. And that's it. So next, what we have to do is send that charge, as that charge will contain some information like the checkout URL we have to redirect the user to. And that's it. Now, in case it fails, let's just send the error back. And yeah, that's it. So now let's go on Postman. If you don't know how to use Postman, you can download Postman just by googling Postman download, and then just copy paste whatever I'm doing. Okay, so first of all, we specify here what this request will be. So get, post, put, etc. So it will be a post request, and it will be to http localhost 3000 /checkout. And yeah, that's basically it. Then we go to the body right here, to the body tab. We click raw, we click JSON, because we want to send JSON data. And we can specify here the amount, which can be 10, and the currency, which can be USD, Euro, or whatever you like. So yeah, now let's click send. Actually, first we have to run it. So let's go on terminal, new terminal, and then do node index.js. Okay, so let's click send to send our test request. And yeah, I forgot something important. So here, what we have to do is app.use express.json in order to accept JSON requests. And let's rerun it and try it again. And there we go. So as you see on our charge, we get some information like the addresses. And for each payment, you have different addresses and different address per payment method. So yeah, Ethereum, Bitcoin, etc., whatever you accept. And you have some other useful information like the exchange rates. And yeah, some other useful information, but what we want to focus on is the hosted URL, because this is where we want to redirect the user at. So let's go back on our API. And actually, no, we don't have to go back to our API. So let's copy this link. Now, normally you'll just send that back to the front end, and then from the front end, you'll just redirect the user to that URL. But for now, we will do that manually. So we go to that URL, and that's basically it. This is our checkout form. The user can pay with Coinbase, Bitcoin, or Ethereum, and yeah, that's it. As you see, here's our name, our description. Yeah, that's it. I guess that's basically it. Okay, so now let's see how the webhooks work. So first of all, you have to use something called ngrok if you are not so you can test your application in localhost. So let's see how we can use that. First of all, go on Google and say ngrok download. It will show you how you can download ngrok for Windows, for Mac, or Linux. It will either be a zip file or a command. So yeah, just use whatever you like and download ngrok. You will probably have to sign up. It is free to use. So yeah, once you sign up and set it up, then all you have to do is run ngrok http 3000, and what that will do is create actually a public URL which you can visit from everywhere. And what that will do is basically any request that we send to this URL will be sent then to our localhost URL. Basically, ngrok will make our localhost API public. Okay, so yeah, let's continue. So then what we want to do is go to Coinbase dashboard. Okay, so go to your profile, click settings, and then go to notifications tab. And right down here, as you'll see, we have Webhook subscriptions. What we will do is add an endpoint. Here we will give it the URL for our API. So basically it will be this one, the production URL. We also specify there the endpoint. So this is the URL. The endpoint can be /webhooks. So yeah, let's do that. So let's copy this. Then we do /webhooks and we save that URL. And then again, every time there is a notification about our payment, so for example, if the payment was successful, if it failed, if it is pending, etc., it will send a notification to that URL. What we can do then is say app.post/webhook and get the data the Coinbase will send to us. Now, again, if you still don't understand how the webhook will work, you will for sure understand it as we use it. Then you also need to click here to show the shared secret. You have to copy that, go back to the .env file, and here say Coinbase webhook secret, and pass your webhook secret. Now we use the Coinbase secret to verify that the request is actually coming from Coinbase and not from someone that tries to fake the payment data. For example, anyone can send some data to our webhook endpoint right here and say that they paid successfully whatever amount, whatever currency, and they can also pass the metadata so they make it look like that their order was paid successfully. So again, we have to make it so it verifies that payment comes from Coinbase. So let's go back to our API. There we go. And if we go right here and click webhooks, this is how we can handle webhooks. So first of all, we get the webhook from the Coinbase Commerce Node package, and we verify the signature using the raw body, signature, and shared secret. Okay, now this is kind of confusing. It doesn't explain a lot of things, so let's go to it step by step and show you how it will be done. Okay, so first of all, let's say var webhook. First, we want to get the raw body. Now, how do we do that? Basically, raw body is not the body, the JSON, but it's instead a buffer. So we need to somehow make our body a buffer. So what we can do is right here on our JSON, we can pass the verify callback. And what we can say is const URL. And we can say if the URL starts with webhook, so in case we are getting some data in our webhook URL, we want to give it a value, the raw body, and pass it the buffer as a string. Okay, so now let's verify our event. So let's say const event, and that equals to webhook dot verify event body, and we pass it the raw body we get. We also pass it a signature that it wants from the header, the webhook signature, and then we also pass the Coinbase webhook secret. And that's basically it. And then we can just console log the event, and we will see all the data we get from the event. Now, by the way, I didn't say that on the beginning, but in order to test your API, you actually have to use real Bitcoin. There is no sandbox mode in Coinbase. So yeah, I'll be using real Bitcoin in order to test my API. So let's finish it and then show you that it works. Okay, so next what we will do is we can actually, the event has some types, okay? So types. So what we can do is get the event type. So in case the event.type equals to charge confirmed, we know now that the charge was confirmed. So what we can do is get the amount. So we can say let amount equals to, and that will be event.data.pricing .local.amount, and this will give us the amount that the charge was for, and we can also get the currency like so, and we can also get the metadata, so we know for which user that payment is for. So we can do let user ID, for example, and we can do event.data.metadata.userid to get the user ID from our metadata, which we pass right here. And what we will do now is just console log that. Now in production, what you will normally do is update your database, and based on your metadata, find the order or find the user and update the status or their balance. Depends on how your system would work. And that's basically it. So again, to test it out now, first let's go here to Postman, create a new request for 10 euro. Then let's get the hosted URL, visit that. Then I'll use my other wallet to pay. So I will say Bitcoin, and then I will say send here my application, and I'll just scan the QR code with my phone and pay. And it says on my phone sending payment, and as you will see here in a bit, we will see the successful checkout. But I did pay successfully, and yeah, as you see right here, it says status pending, and that's because it takes some time for Coinbase to validate the payment, and the time usually depends on the amount. So if you are paying, for example, $10, it will take far more than if you are paying $200. Okay, so now the status is pending. This will take some time, but once it is successful, we will get the webhook right here to respond with the data. By the way, right here on the event.type, there is other types as well. So we have charge confirmed, failed, delayed, pending, and resolved, and created. Now, what I'm focused at is the confirm, because with the confirm, we are making sure the payment is actually successful. Now, if you want to do something in case the charge is created, or it is delayed or failed, then you can have an if statement for that type and do however you like, whatever you like. Now, in order to know what the payload is, what you can do is console log the event and you'll be able to see all the data that we get. Okay, so there we go. So as you see, we got the 10, which is the amount, the currency, and the user ID. So there we go, it did work successfully, but there is a few things that I forgot to mention. First of all, I did a mistake here. It was webhook. Had to do it webhooks because we had said we had specified that the webhook URL is /webhooks. So there was a slight mistake here. But have in mind that if you make a mistake and for some reason it fails to send the webhook, it will try again and again. I'm not sure how many tries it does, but yeah, so it will repeat it until it gets a successful response. So that's what I forgot to mention. So what you can do is have a try catch here, and if for some reason it fails, yeah, let's do that. So you have to update this, put in a try catch, and if for any reason it fails, you can say res results.json, and you can respond with the error. But if it fails, if it works, sorry, make sure you respond with a status 200 so it doesn't repeat the request again. Because for example, if you don't respond and it repeats the request, as you see right here, what would end up happening in my platform, for example, is it would keep adding and adding $10 to the user account, but we only want to add it once. So yeah, make sure you respond with res that sounds 200 here, and in case of an error, say that there was an error, so it does repeat it again. And yeah, that's it for this video. Let me know down in the comments what you would like to see next. And yeah, if you appreciate the video, hit that like button, subscribe to see more like this. And yeah, see you in the next video. Bye bye.